Hi, my name is Vijay and welcome again to learn in new things today in SQL Server, which is trigger. So trigger basically is nothing but a set of action which we want to perform in case of insertion, updation or deletion. So there are two types of trigger which we are going to understand theoretically. But before that, let's understand why we need trigger and what trigger does. So you wanted to perform something. Maybe you wanted to do an audit of a table when the data actually came to this row, but you don't want to store that information, audit information to the same table. Your purpose can be no one should allow to do any insert, update or delete with my table. You maybe wanted to restrict them. You maybe wanted to implement the security. Maybe you are handling the banking project and you wanted to make sure every account balance update when and how, at what time what it was yesterday, when it was today, whenever it updates, you wanted to store this information into a different table. Those we call history tables. So let's say employee, which is a main table where all the employees are there, and then employee history. When that employee was added, basically employee table has employee name, salary, city, phone number, and any other thing, right? Simple thing. But we wanted to know when that particular employee was added. Or maybe we just for audit purpose we need it. So we created one more table called employee history. In this table, we have inserted by, this kind of audit information. So we are going to learn today by why we need it and how we can make use of trigger. But we have to be very careful when we use trigger. So first, let's see the theoretical part, and then we'll directly jump into practical. Okay. So without further delay, I'm going to share my screen. All this material, you can get it on the below link, which is on our website blog. All these details, you can get it from there. All the theoretical part, all the interview questions, Okay, so let's see here. So basically, as I said, trigger is a special type of procedure, you can say. Procedure we already learned, right? We already understood what is a procedure. It takes some set of line, it execute, it performs some insert, update, and delete. In the same way, we wanted to perform some action, but based on the three items right now: insert, update, and delete. Okay. So there are two types of trigger. One is DML trigger, another is DDL trigger. So DML is nothing but where we are manipulating data manipulation language. DDL is data definition language. So in data manipulation language, nothing but we are inserting, updating, or deleting. But data definition language is basically we are creating, we are modifying, or we are dropping that object. So these are DDL triggers. Okay. So today we are going to learn DML trigger mostly, not DDL. Okay, it's another thing, and you will you will use it. Okay. So first, let's see an example of syntax. How the syntax looks like. Create trigger name on table name. This is a table name. After insert, update, and delete. So in this three line, you can see it's very simplified. Create trigger name on. After the on, you have to write the table name. It means, as the name suggests, trigger, you are setting the trigger on something. Once something happened, it should trigger. Your set of code should trigger. And the rest of the code goes the same as begin and end. Okay. Then this is another example. Let's say you wanted to send email to, to some manager or something, maybe some senior admin team saying that this employee is added. If some addition, which is nothing but an insertion, happens to the employee table, and you wanted to put a trigger, right? See it? Create trigger employee add on employee after insert. Once somebody is inserting an employee information into an employee table, this set of code should execute. What is this set of code? This set of code is just sending an email to some person saying that a new employee has been added. Please do the rest of the onboarding activities. Perfect. Yeah, you already seen this definition. Okay, types of trigger too. Now, these are the key features in trigger. Automatic execution. It's not like a procedure function. You have to execute them. They will execute automatically. The moment you do any operation, insert, update, or delete, it's gonna fire, it's gonna trigger automatically set of code. Event based execution, you can see table specific, and it's not that whatever set of code you're putting, it's going to basically execute, but only when you do your activities, insert and update and delete on a specific table. Table A, table B, table C. So you can have different triggers, set it up on a different tables. So it's a table level specific trigger. Okay. Now you can enforce the business rules. Maybe you're not allow any employee which is zero salary, right? How somebody can work. So you set a rule in my company, no employee should work zero salary. Okay. Let's say this is not a generalized good example, but you wanted to set some business rule. Okay. Or maybe you wanted to set the city has to be California. Then you can put that rule. And if the rule is not satisfied, you can reject that insertion, saying that it's not matching the criteria. Please see these things or follow these guidelines. Audit data changes. This is what we are going to do today. Audit data change. Okay. Now, advantages. Basically, you don't need to set something else, some other framework you have to design for auditing. You can simply do automated auditing, which we are going to do today. There are some disadvantages. So make sure when you actually need it, you use it. So it's going to impact the performance. Why? Because let's say in this table, there's an employee and employee history, right? In this table, you're going to insert maybe 250,000. The same row will go to the audit table, which is nothing but your history table or something. The same report is going to go two places. So make sure when you put a trigger, maintaining auditing purpose or something, see the performance. You are going to pay the double cost, double storage. So you have to choose wisely when you go with trigger options. It's also difficult in debugging. It will not tell you what it does. You have to go and open that code. So if you wanted to find out what's going on with my trigger, Okay. Yeah, this we have seen. Now let's quickly see some real-time examples. These are just we have already discussed what it allows, what not. Yeah, these are more information about DDL, DMLs. In this blog, you can find it fully detailed. I'm trying to cover only DML today. Okay, so let's quickly see another SQL window. Here, I am going to a little bit increase my screen. Okay. Okay, so now in this particular SQL window, I'm going to first create a employee table. So you can see here, it's very simple table, ID, first name, last name, done. Okay, perfect. Then for maintaining an audit, means when it happened, how it happened, who inserted, I wanted to maintain that log. So for that, I have created a same table referring as a history table. What else information I need? I need the same column, employee ID, first name, last name, but I also need when it was inserted. I also need who inserted, right? So these are audit information. Now you must be thinking, why don't we put this into here itself? Yeah, you can do that. But sometimes you maintain these extra tables, some other secondary location, and this data will always available on the primary location. I will talk about some in some other videos also, what is primary and secondary storage of SQL Server, right? How we can be cost effective in terms of faster execution. But for now, just consider this. Business want to maintain this with a different approach. Okay, so let's see. Now let's see this trigger. What this trigger does, let me put this into so that you can see. You'll see that. In this trigger, I'm saying create or alter trigger name on employees after insert. What I'm saying? After insert. It means on this table, once the data is inserted, this trigger should fire and do set of lines, execute set of lines which I'm putting inside the trigger, trigger to fire. Okay. So now it says insert into employee history. This trigger name is TRG employee insert. Which table we are creating on employees? but in which we are going to insert employee history, because audit will happen on the different place, right? Our main table is employee, but our audit table is history. Okay, so let's see. After insert into employee history, all the columns except the identity column. You see, the ID here is the identity column, a primary key of employee history. ID here, which is an employee ID, nothing but for an employee, right? So here I'm saying employee ID, which belongs to employee history here. Now, what I want to supply in this employee ID? The ID column from the employee table. Now, let's also talk about a little bit about these two tables, inserted and deleted. Right now, we have not used after deleted or after update or something, right? So there are two magical tables. When we learn triggers, we have to definitely talk about these two tables. So these two, we call it magical tables. Something comes in the pipeline, which is just happened, which is within the SQL Server pipeline, which is still coming, or is still going, just think about that scenario. The data is not committed yet into the database. It is still coming, or maybe just the moment when it's getting committed, or maybe just the moment when it's deleted. So suppose we want those data which is coming or which is getting deleted. Suppose we need those data. So what we can do? We can use these two tables, inserted and deleted. Only these two. Now you will be thinking, what is this name and how do I relate this to the main table? So whenever we are referring inserted, right now we are under which trigger? We are under a trigger where we are pointing. What is our pointing table? Employees. So inserted is nothing but an alias. We are actually saying employees. No, they must have said it as an employee, but it will create more confusion. So we say from inserted is nothing but we are referring the employees table only, but incoming and outgoing data. If it is deleted or inserted, which is data is coming for the insertion, which data is going for the deletion. So something which is in the pipeline, that is can be accessed using inserted and deleted. These are the fixed name. You can use it inside any trigger. It is nothing but you are actually calling the table which are mentioned after the on. Okay, create trigger name on. So suppose this table has 3 columns. Now inserted is the same replica, is this referring to the same table, same structure, but incoming data. So tomorrow, let's say we have department table. Department table has a 5 column. And inside the department trigger, we are referring inserted. That time inserted is going to return us all the 5 columns. What department has. So inserted and deleted are just the names. What we are actually referring, we are referring in the employee pipeline table. That employee pipeline table we are naming as inserted and deleted, right? So this is an example of inserted. So we are saying select ID, first name, last name, get employee user ID from inserted, and where it should go and get inserted into employee history. Okay, perfect. Let's create that. Done. Now let's try to insert some data. Before that, should I show you that both the tables? These are the both tables, empty right now, no data. Now I'm going to insert one single row into employee, not employee history. Please see here. Please pay attention. Okay, to the employees. Okay, I'm going to insert into employees values, one as employee ID, James as a first name, Portna as a last name, right? I want to execute. Done. The moment I say execute, you see one row affected. So this row is nothing but it's saying employees. The another one more row affected. That is nothing but employee history. So let's see and run both the tables. You see, here there are only information about the employee, but this has information of which employee ID got inserted, what was the first name, what was the last name, when it was inserted, who inserted. So these are the audit information, So this is how we can maintain the audit purpose a employee and employee history with a very simple example, right? Let me put it down the screen in one shot so you can see it. Okay, good. So you can copy this code and try in your local so that you will never forget trigger again. Thank you for watching.